A day after Lok Sabha passed the GST, the four GST bills, Shireen Ban caught up with the Economic Affairs Secretary, Shaktikanta and spoke to him about the last lap of the GST, the banking sector and the looming NPA issue. Here's an excerpt of that very exclusive conversation.
Experts have said that it will add by about 1.5% to 2% of the GDP. It will certainly give a big boost to the economy because your tax collections are going to become far more efficient. The leakage will go down, and with moderate levels of taxation going forward, when the tax levels get moderated, you will have naturally more of economic activity. You see, the other thing which GST will achieve is that by limiting the number of exempted goods, the list of exempted goods will be only confined to those which actually are essential for the common man, for the poorer sections of the society, like food items, etc. So when you do that, and when the list of exemptions gets moderated, gets reduced and focuses only on the poorer sections and on the day-to-day common requirement of the common people, naturally you are creating the groundwork for a moderate rate of taxation. If you start giving too many exemptions, then you will have to have a higher rate of taxation. So therefore, going forward, I think it will widen the tax net. It will also, as we go about, it will moderate the rates of taxation.
What could be the next big trigger? And that has to do as far as NPA resolution is concerned. Whether it's the chief economic advisor or it's the finance minister telling me in an interview a couple of days ago that this is a matter that is going to be addressed with a degree of urgency, that some sort of new mechanism for NPA resolution is on the anvil, on the cards. What is the thinking? Where do things currently stand, sir, as far as the Economic Affairs Department is concerned?
No, you see, the Department of Financial Services is working on it. Already the government has, the RBI has come out with the S4A mechanism and the SDR, CDR and other instruments and other procedures and systems.
But the feedback is that hasn't necessarily worked, so the need is to now either rework these schemes, bring in a new scheme. Where do things stand? You
see, let's also remember that there is an oversight committee which has been put in place, and the banks are being encouraged to identify the big cases and to bring it, to reach some kind of a restructuring, take a haircut which the banks can afford and bring it to the oversight committee, so that the oversight committee gives its seal of approval, the stamp of approval. It's okay on the proposals which the banks are bringing. So already,
is there also a proposal, sir, that while banks will take a certain degree of a haircut, that the government, if need be, will support also?
No, in the sense that the banks will have to do it. Government support to the banks will be only in the form of capitalization. If the banks require additional capital, the government will provide the required capital. But having said that, let me also mention that the capital will be provided based on certain performance index. You cannot go on putting taxpayers' money to recapitalize the banks. The capitalization of banks will take place linked to certain performance index, linked to certain settlement of certain big accounts and default cases. So it has to be performance linked.
So, these 50 accounts have already been identified by the government where of the stressed assets, etc. The oversight committee is already in place. How soon can we expect now to move on each of these accounts?
I think you will see, in the coming months very fast, you will see good speed in the coming months with regard to the resolution of all these assets.
I understand it cannot be a one-size-fits-all approach either. It will probably have to be addressed on a case-by-case basis. So is there also going to be, for instance, some sort of an ombudsman who will, along with the oversight committee, provide the political cover, so to speak?
You see, what regulatory or what other changes which government will bring about, that I cannot say at this point. Whatever changes are brought about, in any case the parliament is in session, so that will be announced by the finance minister in the floor of the house. So it will not be appropriate for me, and I cannot make those kind of statements. But you are right to the extent that each case is a different, has its own reasons of failure and has its own complexities. Each case has been impacted differently because of the change in the business cycle. A unit in the steel sector has been impacted differently in a manner which is different from a unit in another sector, then you have to also look at facts of each case, where it's a business failure, where it's a management failure, and what are the other reasons for failure, and then each case has its own peculiarity. So you cannot have a one size fit all, one size that fits all. But yes, within the parameters which have been specified, there's a certain space, there's a certain elbow room available. Within that parameter, within that elbow room, each case will have to be analyzed separately.